Greetings to you, fellow Zambian citizens, and happy Easter Friday to you all. Now, this morning, I just want to share some political information. How you do with this information, what you do with this information is entirely up to you. I believe that my job is to enlighten you so that you are able to make informed decisions. Now, I will say this from the onset. The prosperity of the country, rests squarely on the quality of leaders that we elect. And that is why the power to choose leaders is vested in the Zambian people. Okay? So the people must be able to pick their leaders of choice. And there must not be any manner of manipulations in that endeavor, because the people themselves must be satisfied that the particular individual we are picking for whatever position is best suited to be able to give us a development that we need. Once again, Zambia goes to the polls in August, on the 13th of August this year, 2026. And that will be an opportunity for you to evaluate anyone who is going to present themselves for leadership, tracking them to what they've done in the past, and basing your judgment on what they will present on the table as things that they can be able to do when you elect. Of course, others are liars. They will sugarcoat you of what they can promise, but I think that ultimately we are able to assess them if they've been in leadership before, to see what capacity they possess. Now, in all this undertaking, the Electoral Commission of Zambia plays a pivotal role, because with a compromised Electoral Commission of Zambia, the quality of elections is not guaranteed. And so the question of what sort of an Electoral Commission of Zambia and what are they doing arises at this point. Just this week, there was an altercation between one of the commissioners at ECZ, McDonald Chipenzi, who was arguing with my sister, Ketiwe Ngoma, and Mapenzi went as far as saying Mukadila HH is winning again. Now, Bazalomes, Chipenzi are like referees in a game. Okay, they should stand on a neutral pedestal. Okay, we know that these are cadres. Bazalomes niba kada. We know that Chipenzi niba kada. But once you are chosen or you are appointed to be part of this electoral body, you must take off that jacket and remain as neutral as possible. Secondly, the rules or the laws, whatever it is that the ECZ should be doing from now going into the election, must create environment of neutrality. It must be a fair playing field. There must not be rules that should, advance the interests of one political entity. This is something that I want you to think about. So number one, the Electoral Commission of Zambia has proposed to amend the electoral law. The electoral law is a law that guides the election, how the election is going to be conducted, the rules by which every stakeholder should play or should abide by. There are two proposals that have been proposed in the electoral law that the ECZ wants to amend. Number one, the ECZ wants to get power to be able to disqualify a candidate. Now, hear me right. The law, the Constitution of Zambia, provides the criteria under which one can qualify to stand either as president, MP, mayor, and a councillor. Disqualification comes when you don't meet that criteria. So the Constitution spells out you must have a grade 12, you must have be Zambian, you must do this and that. If you don't meet those that are stipulated, those rules that are stipulated, or the qualifications that are stipulated by the Constitution, automatically you are disqualified. Now, in an event that me as an individual, I am not satisfied with the nomination or the candidature of one individual, I can then go to court and challenge that candidature. It is therefore the courts who have the secondary power to disqualify any candidate at whatever level. So the Constitution qualifies and disqualifies candidates. The courts also retains the power to be able to qualify and disqualify. Interestingly, the ECZ wants to now be the third power to be qualifying and disqualifying. Tenchito yabo. Imwe bachipenzi na bazalomesi bambuya bazalomesi. Tenchito yenu ya kukwata maka to qualify people, disqualify. Leave it as it is. If you mule for kuchita propose in the amendment is completely outrageous. Because we've known by now that clearly the ECZ is slowly becoming an extension of our UPND. Imagine tuba perena maka aya kutira iwotu wakuta qualify iwotu wakuta disqualify. Who is going to qualify or to make it to the ballot paper, especially at presidential level? Muchingirire pwecho, okay? Secondly, they want to remove a security feature. Fida tubika stamp pali ballot paper. Kunuma kulia, you put a stamp. So that in case of a dispute, mwayaku recounting of ballot, you can then see that this is an authentic ballot paper because it was authenticated by a stamp. But if folk fumiako stamp because in their own thinking, no chila posere inchita ama officials ukula stampa. Officials that are highly paid during the exercise, but if one number, vale ikala febali nwati during the exercise of election. Pantu kubika post stampu is a lot of work according to bazalomesi na ba chipenzi. Now the third issue, over time and by practice, when parliament is dissolved, all the positions are frozen. They become vacant from presidential level all the way to councillor. Okay? In this case, on the 15th of May, Parliament will be dissolved. It means I will no longer be an MP. Everyone will cease to hold those positions. There will be nobody who will be MP, councillor, mayor, and ultimately the president will cease to be the president. It is at that point when everyone can now say, I'm going to be, MP, I'm going to be president, I'm going to be what? And so that now becomes a time when me who wants to run as an MP can say, na yamukulipira nomba, therefore to challenge this position of MP. Over all these years, and with no exceptions, the election starts with, nomination fees being paid by prospecting candidates. And all that over all these years since 1964 has always been done after dissolution of parliament, because that is when the positions are now open for those who wants to participate. Interestingly, today, the Electoral Commission of Zambia is suggesting that 15th of April this month, ama candidates, especially pa presidential level, bafude bayalipira nomination fees. In their grand scheme of things, they want to hide under the name of, no, we want to commence the process of scrutinizing ama, bariaba kushindika and all that. Forgetting that every other year, these things are done after the dissolution of parliament. The question you must now be asking is, why the interest now for candidates to pay nomination fees in April before parliament is dissolved? Here is what I can tell you may happen. We now know our friends are interested in wanting to be the only ones on the ballot paper. They want to eliminate every competition. That is why you see every candidate ule moneka credible. It's either balambo ukumutaka nyokula mtuara kuma courts of laws, baambe milandu ishisha umfikepo over all the 5 years. As an example, Hon Mpundu, 5 years he has been around, he has been a member of parliament. Uko, ukumfafia tala iminina, elo baamba one case after the other. Your guess is as good as mine. They want to find something to stop Hon Mpundu from standing at presidential level. But because we know that the court works with procedures, They may struggle to disqualify, people like Hon Mpundu using the courts of law. They would now want to use other Mingalatos as they pronounce themselves through Cornelius Muitwa that we are chief Mingalatorists. We are going to employ the best Mingalato. So they are now proposing that Beshibe, who is going to stand at presidential level, by 15th of April, because if you miss that date, it means you cannot participate in the election as president. So but if I won't say who is who, your guess could be as good as mine that they now want to begin to target. Okay, because when the ECZ does that, let's hypothetically say they are doing it normally at our to push rules. The Mingalato boys now can come in and say, oh, you, they are the threats. So it's then how we can push them out to disqualify them. Secondly, 1 month, because if the nominations are going to be paid on the 15th, and the parliament is be dissolved on the 15th of May, we have a month long from the campaign period, meaning that ama candidates kuti bafwa muri period ya 1 month, and a political party can pick anybody else to participate as a candidate if one dies today. So if me as Hon Mpundu goes and pays my fees to participate as a president, and I'm representing a political party, are they telling us that that fee will be transferable to another candidate? Because it is an individual who pays the nomination fee. It is not the political party. I want to believe so. Right? It is an individual. It will be clearly labeled. The political party has a right to pick another person. But when you close the window 1 month before, you would have closed chances, because political parties can even substitute. You can make that decision, within this period up to, when parliament will be dissolved. But your guess could be as good as mine. Why they want to do this exercise is so that they can begin to do manipulation. I will say this to you, Zambians. I know sometimes mnamfa chai se chika landalanda chibinweo. But I've never taken a subject that doesn't or is not important. And this subject is important because the credibility of an election rests in having, a good electoral law, a good constitution, and everything else. So because I've just said this as food for thought. As you go into the long weekend, start thinking about the activities of the Electoral Commission of Zambia and how they threaten or undermine the credibility of the elections we are going to have in August. Because if they are going to attempt to amend the law to give themselves power to disqualify candidates, you know what they can do on candidates that they believe can be a challenge to them. They can wake up and say, Brian, you are not qualified to stand. Iwe KBF, because you are not qualified, and you can do nothing because you know how the courts operate. Okay? So you cannot give the ECZ powers to qualify or disqualify candidates. That power is well stipulated within the Constitution, and the courts are the secondary power. You can go and challenge at the courts of laws, and the courts can pronounce itself. Secondly, we are saying you cannot change the rules, the playing rules. Payments of nominations and everything else should be done after the dissolution of parliament. These positions are going to be only vacant when parliament is dissolved. We have a lot of time. We have done that over all these years. Okay? But, candidates have paid after nominations. ECZ has been able to scrutinize. What is wrong today that you want to change the rules that people must now pay a month long before parliament is dissolved? But I want to say this. I have advised you by UPN Kutila. You can try and play around politics in terms of numbers, but to go the route of wanting to be the only ones on the ballot paper. And or maybe let me be very clear. If there will be an attempt to disqualify certain candidates, as an example, I want to say this. Our candidate, Kutonse Alliance, President Hon Mpundu, because I can clearly see that this is where Chiletu Tuale Chichinto. I can bet my life. Mukatolo mupamba. Elo ine, nishilandila mwenso. Elo nshaka mutine. Chibemba chinje bati pampu miyamu yo tape mankala mwaikudia. I will not be intimidated by anybody to speak my mind. If you will attempt to disqualify candidates, and I want to be specific to a candidate of my interest, Honorable Hon Mpundu, tamwakaita mbebwino ba UPND. Ngefyo mule tontonkanyefyo. Ndemi chitako fi advise filekeni. It is a dangerous road to walk. Imwenga mlefu okuiba my elections, mlefu okuwin at all cost. Start thinking of how you can manipulate the numbers. Na yo mufuremu akosa because unomukulota tule shipula. Elo tule image tinta ngombe because enough is enough. Tetwika le mchalo kwa tuli mpanga. Muchitere chenu imwe. Kwa tuli mbushinangu ingombe mufi mumakrozi yenu. This country belongs to all of us. And we have a right to have a fair playing field for elections. So if you akutira mulechita mulelwishanya yo FDD, Register of Society has not recognized your convention, mwashita sponsor kaka muntu ka tola ma confusion political party this. If you akushita disqualify ma political parties, tafia abombe. If you akuta disqualify ma candidates, tafia abombe. For as long as they are qualified under the constitution, if you're mulefu kuchita, fika mile telela. If in Alanda, I will say from the beginning, it is up to you to decide what you do with this information. Nami pela. Have a lovely Easter. I love you all Zambians. May God bless you. Thank you very much.